The sunflowers are in full bloom here in Kansas, and I had to make a trip into the city today to run some errands. So I thought I would talk to you a little bit about how I save money just on a regular basis without putting a ton of thought into things. It doesn't have to be as much work as what some may think that it is. I just work it into my daily life, and I hope you will stick around. I know some people think all she thinks about is money. Really, it isn't. But if I don't do frugal living videos, the majority of people don't watch. A lot of you watch everything that I do, even some of the variety ones that I throw in there. And I thank you so much for that. But today I'm just going to show you a random amount of things that I just do or have done this past week to save money. And maybe it will inspire you to maybe think about some of the things you can do on a day to day basis. I don't put a ton of thought into this stuff. It just comes naturally once you've done it for a while. And I'm so comfortable in my retirement now that I don't worry about money. And the reason I don't worry about it is just because it isn't that hard for me to figure out ways to save money. It's not that I have a lot of money, because I don't have a lot of money that comes in on a monthly basis, and I try to live on the amount that comes in. It's just that I look for ways to save that don't put a lot of hardship or a lot of thought or a lot of work on myself. And I think that's how a lot of us want it to be. We want it to be easy. Our retirement is precious. Our time is precious. And we don't want to spend a lot of time worrying. We've spent a lot of years doing that with children and raising families and paying bills. Now we just want things to come with a flow that doesn't require us to put a lot of thought into some of the daily things that we have to do. And we want to put our efforts and our energy into the fun stuff. At the state fair, when I was there this week, we had a salsa booth. Now, this can was $22, and you may say, oh my gosh, you're frugal. Why did you buy that? Well, this added to a can this size of diced tomatoes makes salsa. And there is enough in here to make 25 15-ounce cans of salsa, or about 2 gallons. So we picked this up because salsa has gotten so expensive. I have made it before in the past, but we thought this would be a really good deal. Plus, I had a lot of tomatoes backstocked that I could use, so I didn't have to buy any. And when I was at Ollie's this week, I picked up some fire roasted ones. These smaller cans were only 79 cents a can, and these large ones were only 99 cents a can. So I normally don't see fire roasted. So I was excited to find those and pick those up. I also got a couple of bagels at the bagel shop. Now this one's been in the freezer, so it's a little steamed up, but I got 2 of these because I got a email telling me I could get $3 off a $3 purchase at our bagel shop, and I hadn't been there in a long time. So they sent me this coupon, and it made 2 bagels 84 cents. So I've been on the lookout for some good priced salsa, and it's one of the things I've had a hard time catching on sale or being able to purchase at a good price. And we were running really, really low, and I've tried a couple of different brands, and we didn't care for them. We used them up anyway, but we didn't care for them. We sampled this at the state fair, and when I started looking at it making 2 gallons of salsa and I costed it out, I thought, that's not bad. And we do like this kind. And I already have tomatoes on hand. So we went ahead and picked it up, and now I don't have to worry about that for a while. But I keep an eye on what I have backstocked, and I know when I'm running low on something, and I usually try to catch it on special. And that was just one area that I had had trouble lately catching on special, and we had ran all of our stock out. So that is why I purchased that. You may think it was kind of expensive, but if you cost that out, one 24-ounce container of salsa is like almost $5 in the grocery store. So when I started costing that out, I thought it was a pretty good deal. So let me know what you think. I caught these cinnamon rolls on sale for about $3 a can, which makes them about 60 cents each. I have these containers that I have from doing mystery shops at some restaurants. They're perfect size for me to be able to make them and freeze them individually and then thaw them out. So I picked up 3 of these containers to make cinnamon rolls. I froze some of these prior to my state fair job, and I took them with me and froze them in the camper. And then I would just stick one in my ice chest every day, let it thaw out, and have it for my morning breakfast. My husband surprised me with picking up a new drying rack. Now, I have a small wooden one that I normally carry in the camper. I did bring it in because we've had a lot of rain this summer in Kansas. It's been really hard to dry anything on the line. But he picked up this large drying rack for the winter so that I can do it inside a lot easier. And this huge metal, sturdy, hardy rack was only $18. Now, I've had trouble finding it online to find out what it really cost, but some of the smaller ones that are more flimsy were over $50. So I know this is a very expensive rack. This rack will make it really easy for me to dry my clothes inside this winter. When we're trying to figure out ways to save money, sometimes it is as simple as looking at our needs. Our needs are really few. We add to those needs based on things that we see that are being marketed to us today. But if we look at what we really need, our food, our water, our clothing, we need very little, but we buy in excess and we accumulate in excess. And then when we are retired, we look at all this stuff and say, wow, it used to be dollars, and I'd rather have my dollars be my security. When I was working, I was probably stopping at the grocery store 3 or 4 times a week, just looking for specials and good buys. Now that I'm retired, I maybe go to the grocery store once every 2 weeks. And you would think I would spend more money because I'm home all the time. But I have enough stuff here and I have it organized and I know what I have that I don't need to go to the grocery store that often. It was me being unorganized and being so busy that I didn't know what I had that made me think I had to stop every day and go to the grocery store. So being home has actually saved me a lot of money just by getting my inventory in check and getting organized. When I was working, I never could have imagined that after 2 weeks, the only thing I would have had on my grocery list was some milk and some salsa. Can you imagine? Can you take yourself back in time when you were working full time and you thought you needed all this stuff? And then I flash forward to now, and 2 weeks, I only need 2 items. Really? That's the difference between being retired, being relaxed, being organized, and being able to stay on top of the things that I own versus working all the time and having that constant outflow of money because I needed to keep purchasing. It's amazing what being retired can do for your outlook on the things that you already own. One of the things I do is try not to waste anything. So, my next menu item is going to be something with carrots. My carrots need used up. They've been in there quite a long time. They're starting to get flexible, which means they need cooked. I also have a lot of potatoes. I have homegrown onions, homegrown celery. So, I'm probably going to make something like a casserole or a stew that has those ingredients. I have all the meats I need in my freezer, so I'll either pick ground pork or beef tips or hamburger, and I'll make some sort of stew probably. And then that will feed us for the next several days. So I really try to stay on top of things to make sure that they don't go bad. And being retired has helped me do that. It not only gives me the time and the flexibility to cook, but it also gives me the time to stay on top of keeping an eye on what needs used up. When I was working, sometimes I would open the fridge and something had gone bad, and it was like it totally took me by surprise. I had no idea that this was getting ready to go bad until it already had. And now in retirement, I have a better chance of catching those items and staying on top of them because I'm watching for that. I'm not so stressed and I'm more relaxed and I'm really paying attention, where before I was just in a rush and it would just take me by surprise. Some of the things that I love to do in retirement is choose a few frugal activities here and there and just enjoy them because I never had time when I was working. And one of them is reading. Right now, I am reading a Steinbeck novel called East of Eden. It takes place in the late 1800s, and I actually have a grandfather that was born in 1898. But being debt free in retirement is the way to go because then you have less stress and you can just enjoy, which is what we all work so long for. Let me read a little snippet of this about debt in this old novel. Debt was an ugly word and an ugly concept for Olive. A bill unpaid past the 15th of the month was a debt. The word had connotations of dirt and slovenliness and dishonor. Olive truly believed that her family was the best in the world, quite snobbishly, would not permit it to be touched by debt. Olive never accepted a time payment plan when it became popular. A thing bought on time was a thing you did not own and for which you were in debt. And that is how my parents believed as well. Now, that's not to say that I didn't have debt when I was raising my children. I did have debt, but I wasn't raised to think that that was okay. And going into retirement, I definitely wanted to have no debt so that I didn't have to worry about where my money was going to come from for that bill that I still owed. So I made sure I was debt free before I retired. So let me know in the comments below. What do you do on a regular basis that maybe costs you no money or saves you money and it gives you the peace of mind you need on your day-to-day basis to know that you are good, that you can sleep at night, that you don't have to worry about how you're going to get your bills paid. Thanks for listening today. I hope you've enjoyed this video and I hope to see you in the next one.